about the two witnesses. And there's one thing I missed the other day. When I was talking to you about the two witnesses, I meant to bring this out. We talked about, I think, 10 different witnesses they could be. All right? One thing I forgot to show you, and I had it written down here, and I just, somehow or another, I didn't do it. In Genesis 18, 1 and 2, I want you to go there. Genesis 18, 1 and 2, when we're talking about the two witnesses. I have to top this one off, okay? We talked about who the two witnesses might be in the book of Revelation. And let me repeat them quickly, because some of you aren't here. I said Zechariah and Zerubbabel, John, Elijah, Daniel, Moses, Enoch, the church, Israel, and Paul. And then let's look at who one other writer has an idea, or at least one other writer has an idea of who these might be. Okay? Genesis, who's got Genesis there? Genesis 18, 1 and 2. Is it there, Brother David?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Lord appeared to him by the terebinth trees of Mir, as he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him.
All right, hold on right there. 3 men were standing by them. All right. Who is one of the 3?
God.
That's Jehovah. All right, Jehovah is one of them, which is Jesus, pre-incarnate Christ. That's who's standing there. This is Jesus in his pre-incarnate form. Pre-incarnate means before he became flesh. Now, we saw the cherubim over the Ark of the Covenant. And why are they there? Witnesses. That's why the cherubim are above the Ark of the Covenant. We talked about that a little bit this morning. There's cherubim, there's seraphim, there's angels and spirits, and all of this, there's all different ones. The cherubim means to hold tightly, and also it has the idea of wind. Maybe cherubims can cause wind storms, okay, because of their wings. One time in the book of Job, we have what happened to Job's house and everything. A great what came up? Wind came up and blew it all down and killed them all. All right? Now, of course, Satan was directly dealing there, wasn't he? And Satan is called a what? A cherub. Or a cherubim. Cherub, it means singular, and cherubim is plural, okay? So maybe he's the one with his wings made the great storm that killed Job's family, okay? Now, we've got 3 people here visiting Abraham. Now I remember, where's my wife? There she is. Okay. She asked me the other day what camel's milk tastes like. How many of you know what camel's milk tastes like? Anybody here ever had any camel's milk? Well, I have. I got it in Damascus, Syria. And I had stayed in this hotel room. It was called the Oriental Palace. Boy, what a hole that was. I walked up there. D.S. Madden was with me. If you people have known, I talked about D.S. Madden. We walked upstairs because the elevator didn't work. And we walked up through all the rubble and everything else. We walked in the floor, and I walked in my hotel room, and I hit the floor like that, and the dust just flew. I walked over to the bed, and I hit the bed, and the dust just flew so much, making me cough. I looked there in the bathroom, and on the floor of the bathroom was tile. But you couldn't see what color it was because of the dirt. The filth. There were light bulbs. You had to get up and unscrew the light bulb to turn it off. Okay? That's the way it was. You had to get a towel and hold on to it and unscrew it. It was 220 light bulbs in there. And the wires were just running across the ceiling in the window, through the window and into the ceiling. The most primitive thing I ever saw. And in the bathroom, the way you turned the water off or on, it either ran all the time or you got underneath the sink and turned the faucets off underneath the sink because the faucets on top didn't work. And the bathroom, the shower in the bathroom was above an old bathtub, the old kind, that had legs on it, and was a 3/4 inch pipe coming up out of the ground. And only that was a thing that you used to water your flowers, you know, the spray out there. That's what was on for the shower head. What a joke. The poorest place I ever stayed. They had a salt cellar and a sugar cellar on the table. That's a bowl, okay? Salt cellar and the sugar bowl, okay, on the table. And in the sugar and in the salt was both dirt and hair and everything else, you know, whatever was there, weeds, all this, you know, okay? Filthy place. We had stayed there and I succumbed to it. It like to kill me. They selling this water that was supposed to be good water and it wasn't. I ended up getting dysentery bad. But the last meal that we sat there in, Brother Matt, you know, we're over in an Arab country. We just had gone down, walking down the streets, and we saw 3 guys hanging there with a rope on their neck, killed. You know, they hung them in front of this palace there, and they were still hanging with their old bodies, yucky looking and everything. They were going to hang there until they dropped, and then they go throw them in the dump. They didn't give them burial. This criminals there, they just hung them, and they rotted and fell on the ground. Then they hauled them off to the dump and threw them in the dump. The burial of an ass is what it's called in the Bible. A donkey, you know, you throw them in the dump. Well, the last meal we had there, Brother Matt and I were sitting there, and they brought out some rice, and they had some type of a kid, is what it was, a young goat or calf or something, and it was sliced real thin, and they put that on the plate. And usually when we were there, the Arabs are really fine people. If you go into a restaurant, however many courses of food you're going to get a stack of plates in front of you like this. They one thing at a time. They bring you one thing, you eat that, they come and get that plate, and then they put something else on the plate, okay? This place is a mess. The maitre d' running around there with a black towel on his arm. It wasn't black, it's supposed to be white, okay? And running around there like he really was cool, you know. And they bring our food out there. They put the food out here and the rice, and they put the meat on the table. And then they bring this gravy. And the guy comes there, and when he puts all this stuff in, he said, "This is Abraham's food. This is what they gave the angels when Abraham was visited by the Lord and the angels. This is the food that he gave the visitors, and this is our last meal that we're going to give you, because this is a fancy meal." This, of course, everything they cooked was cooked with diesel oil. So it smelled like and tasted like diesel oil, okay? Their stoves were sticking up here with a 5-gallon or 10 gallons of diesel up there, and it ran down, and they set it on fire, and that was it. I'm telling you, most primitive place I've ever been in the world. And they brought this out, and they set it on the plate, and I ate some of it. Brother Batten, he didn't care anything about them people over there. If you get in the Arab world and you insult them, you're liable to end up out there with a rope on your neck hanging up out there in the way, so you would go taken off to the dump. He goes down there, after they put the gravy on his food, he said, "Boy, you done ruined it. You ruined it now." He said, "I might have eaten it before." And he put it on the floor and he said, "Here, kitty, 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 kitty," and set his plate on the floor. But what we got was a camel yogurt gravy with a young kid on there, with a goat or calf, and then some rice on the side. That's what we had. And let's read that again, Brother David. And start all over here. This is what they're getting. Okay?
So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground, and said, "My Lord, if I have now found favor in your sight, do not pass on by your servant. Please let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread, and you may refresh your hearts. After that you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servant." They said, "Do as you have said."
Go ahead, brother. Let's read on.
So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, "Quickly make ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes." And Abraham ran And Abraham ran to the herd, took a tender and good calf, gave it to a young man, and he hastened to prepare it. So he took butter and milk and the calf which he had prepared, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Then they said to him, "Where is Sarah your wife?" So he said,
All right, there we are. It's curds and milk. What it was is yogurt. It was kind of like a sour cream, yogurt, milk, sour cream, and they made gravy out of it and put it over the meat. And that's what they had, and that's what I had over there in Damascus, Syria at that time. Now, who do we have these visitors here? There we have Adonai, or Jehovah, okay? And we have two angels as witnesses. Two angels as witnesses. What are the two angels over the Ark of the Covenant? Witnesses. So now we have two witnesses there to witness the covenant that God made with Abraham, okay? The witness of covenant. And so these are witnesses. So in the book of Revelation, some think that maybe the two witnesses are angels that take form and simulate human life, okay? I just wanted to throw that one also at you. I didn't want to miss it too, because I walked over it the last time we did that, okay? I don't know whether they're angels or not. I don't know who the two witnesses are, but I've tried to give you a firm foundation of who all of them could be, okay? Have you ever heard that one before? All right. That one there floated around in the rabbinical writings.
Makes more sense than most of them.
Well, sometimes it does. Okay. 11 and verse 6. And these ones, they have the authority, the two witnesses, to shut up the heaven. Now, who shut up the heaven in the Old Testament? Made it not rain. Elijah. Okay. Some people think Elijah is one of the two witnesses. I don't think so, because I don't think God's going to send him back to die. I think he's a type of the rapture. He and Enoch both. To shut up the heaven, all right, in order that not rain, it may fall during the days of the prophecy of them, and authority they have over the waters, hidaton, and to turn them unto blood. Who turned water unto blood before? Moses did, okay? And to strike the earth with every plague. Look at that, plague. Every plague. If you're reading from your interlinear that I wrote, you see that word plague. That our English word plague comes from that also. And then it says when, hosakis, and whenever they may wish. All right. Now Elijah in 1 Kings 17 and 1 and 18:41 through 46, he shut up the heaven. All right. Moses turned the water into blood in Exodus 7:19 through 25. All right. Now, let's go on a little further. 11 and verse 7. Something happens to these two witnesses here now. And whenever they may complete or finish, this word telesosin, okay? Third person plural, first aorist subjunctive, active. Teleo is where it comes from. That means to bring to a finish. When Jesus was on the cross of Calvary, he said, telestai, basically. It is finished. All right? So when their ministry is finished, that word telesosin, all right, third person plural, when they finished, or they completed the witness, all right, the witness of them. Do you understand why there are two of them? Cherubim. Last Wednesday night we talked about the cherubim over the Ark of the Covenant. All right, the cherubim, the two witnesses. Cherubims, of course, remember I told you a while ago, it means to hold fast, but it also means wind. All right? And they have their wings pointed toward each other, with their heads down, looking at each other above the Ark of the Covenant as witnesses. All right? So remember that. Okay? The witness of them, and then it says the therion. Look at that word there, therion. Therion
is the beast.
That's the beast. That is a swift-running white shark on land. A land shark. A fast-moving killing machine. That's what he is. All right? A fast-moving killing machine. All right? The beast. The one coming up out of the abysson. Look at that. The bottomless pit. That's what the word abysson means. Bottomless pit. No bottom. And he shall make with them Tolamon. All right? Tolamon. War. Now I'm going to tell you something about this. The devil, through the beast, makes war with these witnesses here. But I serve a God who has never lost a war. Do you know that? He's never lost a war. It appears that maybe some of his soldiers here were struck down. Okay? We're going to look at that. All right? And he shall overcome them. Nike say. The word conquer. Nike shoes. Nike, how many of you ever had any Nike shoes? Nike means to conquer. That's what Nike means. That's where it comes from, is the word Nikeo here. All right? He shall overcome them, and he shall kill them. Apotene. He shall take life from them. All right? We're going to, yes.
How do you say this word abyss in
Abysson.
Huh?
Abisu, actually, is how it is here.
Abisu?
Uh-huh. It's in the genitive
It means
case.
hell? Or
It means bottomless pit.
the permanent?
This is the darkness. This is the. I think these are black holes. I think possibly scientifically this could be a black hole. Okay. Now, there are things we discover in science every now and then that just so describe what an abyss would be. A black hole. What is a black hole? It's a place in space, a star that's imploded, and it has such tremendous gravity, it sucks everything in, and there is no light escapes out of there ever, and time ceases to be. That's what a black hole is. Now, what better description of hell would that be? Or the bottomless pit. There is no bottom to it.
Or outer darkness.
Yeah, or outer darkness. All right? When you study science, true science always agrees with the Bible. I've taught many times about genealogy in the Bible. You know, in the 10th chapter of the book of Genesis, we begin where all mankind came from. There's supposed to be, Obama's supposed to sign a bill to cover all education of any Indian children that can prove their lineage by even DNA, to go to school and support them and to honor the treaties that have been made by the American government with the Indians. Maryland sent off Dakota's DNA results. It came back, and on my side of the family, it showed Indians, you know, from every direction. Okay? Now, I know what the Bible teaches, and I've been teaching, you know, about genealogy and history and everything else. The history of the American Indians. You know, when you... What religion was founded upon the American Indians being Jews? Mormons. Well, because at that time, they didn't know how in the world the Indians got over here. Okay? They don't know how they got here. So one guy wrote, Solomon Spaulding wrote a book about this fantastic story about the Indians coming over here in the submarine. Not Indians, but the Jewish, the lost tribes coming over here and landed in America. They came over in a submarine and got here, and then Joseph Smith got a hold of the book and called it the Book of Mormon. Okay? Now, I know what my people said. We got here when the earth was divided. God put us here. Okay? I know that's what it said. Okay? Don't ever worry about studying true science or history, because it's going to agree with the Bible. How old is mankind? Basically. About 6,000 years of proven history. That's how far it's going to go back. Okay? Where did everybody come from? Ham, Shem, and Japheth. They came from Adam and Eve at the beginning, okay? But then the world was destroyed, and the flood came, and all that. Everybody was killed except for Noah and Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All right? Now, if you're any American Indian or black or anybody that's got black or darker blood, where do you think they came from?
Ham.
Ham's descendants. All right? That's where they came from. Well, looked on the genealogical survey, and here it goes, and it goes right back exactly like the Bible says. Just exactly like the Bible says. These black holes exist, but the Bible said it before we could ever discover it. Okay? Now they have genealogy, a DNA study, and we know, of course, when you study the DNA, it's going to go back, it says, to one woman. Who do you think the one woman was?
Eve.
All right, Eve. It goes all the way back to one woman over there in Mesopotamia. And of course, Africa came right out. All that was split up when, in the days of Peleg, God divided the earth, didn't he? Isn't that beautiful? Well, come to find out, and I've taught for many years that, how many of you believe that Christopher Columbus discovered America? That's what we were taught in school. But it didn't happen. That's not what happened. Christopher Columbus come over here and took a bunch of stuff back from the Americas, back to Europe. He took potatoes back here, all kinds of stuff, beans, all kinds of stuff back to Europe from here, and tobacco also. We got them. Anyway, he took a lot of that stuff back, but the Vikings had come here many, many years before. And especially the Northeast Indians had lots of what we call Norwegian blood in them from that. They were very tall Indians and everything, and light. Well, the DNA survey says that, yes, that's where it came from, Northern European, from the Indian side even. That were related to the Aborigines in Australia, North and South China, the Mongols, Genghis Khan. They were all Indian. Now they know that the DNA of the American Indian is Oriental. We're not Jews. Now the Mormons got a problem with that, don't they? Their whole theology, all of their theology is based upon a false premise. Now us with the Bible, when we trace it all back, we see all of our lineage going back to the Fertile Crescent, going back over there. If you're from the darker races, it's just going to go back to Africa. All right? If you're American Indians, go back through Asia, through the Chinese, the Eskimos. Well, I'm related to some people, Indian people, all the way down in the furthest part of South America to the Arctic Circle, from the east to the west coast, and then into China, and the Mongols, all of them. Don't worry about studying God's Word. You study the Bible, and you got a firm foundation in science. So the black holes can very exist. And this I'll be sown, could be the black hole. All right? Now, Satan thinks that he's overcome God here for a little while. He won a little tiny battle, he thinks. But this isn't. If God allows somebody to die, one of his soldiers to die, there's a great purpose behind it. Back over in the Middle East right now, we're fighting in the Middle East all the time, aren't we? Esau's and Ishmael and Abraham's descendants are all fighting over there right now. And basically, one of the things they're fighting over is the oil that was over there. How did the oil get in the Middle East? Back in eternity past, how did the oil get in the Middle East? Have any idea?
Satan tearing the world up and putting all
Satan
that.
destroyed. There were great animals on this earth. God put them on there at one time back in eternity past. In Genesis 1 and 1, it says, and God created, the word created there, third person singular, masculine singular, cal, perfect. When something's in perfect tense, is it partially created? No. It is completely finished, brought out, and polished. He created it and finished it. And then in verse 2, it says, and the earth, the haaretz, and the earth, hathya, tohu vabohu. She became formless and void. And it says, Spirit God suffered over, worried over, mourned over the faces of the deep, of the home. Elkanah to home. It says there, the earth she became, third person feminine singular. Cal stem. Wow, consecutive imperfect tense. That's the whole story about it, okay? Third person singular, she became, she changed from one state to another. She became formless and void and stayed that way in perfect tense for a while. All right? but she changed from one state to the other. When that happened, God put the oil in the Middle East. That's what happened. God allowed Satan to do that. Now God is going to allow Satan to kill these two witnesses. All right? If they are angels, they just look like they're dead, okay? If they're men, they're laying there dead. All right? And how long are they dead? Let's look. Now, Satan was the author of death in the Garden of Eden, wasn't he? All right? Let's go over here to 11 and verse 8 now. The two witnesses killed and their bodies laid out for all to see. And the corpse, Toma. Look at that word Toma. It's P-T-O-M-A is what it is, Toma. What in the world does Toma mean? The word body is Soma. Normally, it's used, the body, Soma, S-O-M-A. Soma is usually the word for body, and I write it down there, Soma.
Hematoma or something?
Soma.
Hematoma.
That's from Haima, blood. Okay? That's a different word. But here we have is as a Toma. Toma comes from the Greek word pepto. That means to fall. The idea of these Toma here is people that have fallen dead in battle. Now they were doing battle with Satan and with all of his forces on the earth, weren't they? These two witnesses. Now all of a sudden they pipto, they fall dead. Okay? The two witnesses fall dead. The corpses of them, the fallen bodies of them upon the plateos, the open street, that's what it means. We get our kind of word plate from this, plates opening. All right? Of the polios of the city, of the great, which is called spiritually Sodom, and Egyptos. Now, Egyptos, that word there, that's the Greek word for Egypt. What's the Hebrew word for Egypt? Anybody remember? Anybody remember what this Mitzrayim. All right. See there, boy, you've got a mind like a tar bucket. You want to know who's going to replace me as teaching one of these days?
Somebody else said it. The real smart guy said it the last time you asked me. I remember that.
All right. Egypt, where indeed, Kol Kyrios, the Lord, Adonai, Jehovah, of them, he was crucified. Now, during this period of time, Jerusalem is reprobate. Jerusalem is reprobate. They have lined up with the Antichrist. They have accepted. He said, if I come in my Father's name, you will not accept me. If one comes in his whole name, what is he going to do? You're going to welcome him with open arms. All right? That's the Antichrist.
How do you say Lord right there?
Oh, it's Kyrios. Kyrios. Let me write it for you. Kyrios. This is the way you write it in English, okay? Kyrios. That's in Greek. All right? Adonai. All right? Adonai. In Hebrew. Adonai. Okay? Adonai means what? King of kings and Lord of lords. Now that's the one that they crucified in Jerusalem. Why was Jesus on above his cross? What was written? King of kings, King of the Jews. All right, he was the King of the Jews. He was supposed to be on the throne. All right.
So when you see Adonai, does that mean that
They're talking about it means Lord of lords and King of kings. It is a substitute word that the Jews use for Jehovah. All right.
Because they wouldn't say that.
They won't say the name Jehovah. Well, we say it all the time, but we're dumb. There's Jehovah right there. We don't even know how to say that name. Period. Don't even know how to say it. I said this morning in the class, the only way I know how to say this, and this is it. It's got a Yah, a Yod in front of it, and nothing but H's after that. And say this. Yah. Yah. That's it. That's it. And when you breathe out your breath, what happens? When a person breathes his last breath, he's dead. That's breath is life. Get it? Life. When people used to die, they'd take a polish up a mirror and put it in front of their face to see if they were still breathing at all. Because if the breath was gone, life was gone. Jehovah means the life giver, and it means the one who shall become the ever-existing one, the eternal I am, all right, of the Bible. All right, let's go on now. Egypt. Egypt and Sodom. At this period of time, Jerusalem. Jerusalem means what? Jerusalem.
City of peace or something?
City of peace. City of peace. Shalom, they say to you all the time. Shalom. Bokato. Good day. Shalom, good day. All right? They say that as a greeting. The city of peace. But it's not the city of peace. That city has been in more wars and totally torn down to the ground so many times. Now, Jerusalem at this time is spiritually dead, as Sodom and Gomorrah were in Abraham's time, especially the old city of Jerusalem. Look over there, right over there. What we're talking about, I'm glad we got this thing up here. This is the old city in here. This is where the old city is. Most of that is Arabic, okay? And they want to kill all of God's promises, don't they? And kill God's promised people. That's their whole deal. Israel owns that whole city, but they won't go in there and knock that mosque down and build a temple because they know if they do, it's going to be World War III. Got too many Arabs over there. May the 14th, 1948, Israel is declared a nation. The next day, 5 Arab nations attacked them. Tried to wipe them off the face of the earth. They whooped the socks off of them. 67. Then we had the 6-Day War. I think it was 67.
Yeah.
Messed up, 67.
Right.
Anyway, they whooped the socks off of all those people, and they were coming after them to wipe them off the face of the earth. Every time they're going to wipe them off the face of the earth. But Israel, by the power of God, does this. By the way, some of those soldiers said they saw armies where there were no armies. God guided the shells of those Israeli tanks and everything when they hardly had any. Now the bodies of the witness, and they see among the peoples, all right? And all the tribes, the Philon and the glossary. Look at the word. You know what glossary means? That's a language. That's a dictionary of a language. Glossary. That's the word language there. That's the word in the Bible where it talks about speaking in tongues. It talks about a language.
Is that how you pronounce that word in
glosson? Glosson is glossary in English, okay? And ethnon. We have ethnic backgrounds, don't we? Ethnic? That's where the word ethnic comes from. And then what we have this word toma. Toma. The fallen bodies again. The fallen bodies. Of them, days 3.5. And the corpses, the fallen bodies of them, not they allowed, they permitted to be placed in tombs, in memorial tombs. The word tomb means a place of memory. You go out in the graveyards, and out in the graveyards, there are tombs out there. Tombs is a casket, down in the bottom, and a tomb under the ground or whatever. And on top of them is what? On the top of them is what? Surely you worked for a cemetery out there in Shafter, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, on the top of them, they have grave markers, and they have the names of, and it says in memory of. A lot of times it'll say in memory of, and that's exactly what it means, in memory of. They're memorial markers. They won't allow them to be put in memorial tomb, in a grave. They won't allow it.
What is this word peoples?
Let's go back. All right.
Peoples.
Oh, laos, laity. We have a word laity.
Laos.
Laon.
Laon.
Laon. Laon. Our word laity comes from that. Thank you for doing that. 11 and verse 10. Brother John, are you got it there, 11 to 10?
Sure.
Okay. Read that for me, would you?
And those who dwell on the earth will rejoice over them and make merry. And they will send gifts to one another, because these 2 prophets tormented those who dwell on the earth.
All right. Now let's look at this. They're going to be happy. In about 185 BC, when the Maccabees took Jerusalem back from Antiochus Epiphanes, they had a feast that they celebrated in John 10 and 22. Go to John 10:22, Brother John. Would you? John 10:22, where you're over there. John 10:22. Jesus celebrated the Feast of Lights, or the dedication of the temple, or the rededication of the temple when they went back and rededicated the temple. In his time, this is what they call Hanukkah. Our Christmas came directly from a Hanukkah. You know what they do when they celebrate Hanukkah? I'm going to show you a story on this, or a video on this one of these days. What do? They sing songs. For several days they give gifts all to their children and everything else. They send gifts to each other. They put out decorations. They light candles. They 8-candle menorah. They light all of those from the single center one, which is called the serpent, the Shaman, which represents the Messiah. Okay? And Jesus celebrated this Feast of Lights. This is a reversal of Hanukkah. And the Christians borrowed Hanukkah. There were many. Actually, Christmas in America got really introduced in Christmas in World War I, when the troops were fighting in Europe, and the Germans put up branches with little candles on them, with lights on them. They were greatly influenced by the Jews over there that celebrated Hanukkah. And they gave gifts to one another. And there in the trenches, right in the middle of the war, when they were fighting, they called an armistice out there for a few minutes, for a few days, and they quit shooting each other and went out there and gave gifts to each other. That came right straight out of Hanukkah. John 10:22, Brother John.
At that time, the feast of the dedication took place in Jerusalem.
Okay, it's talking about, can you go up one and go back one verse?
21. Others were saying, these are not the sayings of one demon possessed. The demon cannot open the eyes of the blind.
Okay, and then go on.
At that time, the feast of dedication took place in
Hanukkah.
Jerusalem.
Hanukkah. You write down Hanukkah in your Bible. That's what it's called. Now read the next verse.
It was winter, and Jesus was walking in the temple at the portico of Solomon.
All right. Now, when is Christmas celebrated?
Winter.
Winter. What month is that usually? December. Hanukkah was established about 185 BC on December the 25th. Okay.
When?
December the 25th.
185.
About 185 BC. Hanukkah. That's when the Maccabees, their name means hammer, by the way, took the Jerusalem back from the Syrians, okay, and they established the Feast of Hanukkah, which is what we're talking about, the Feast of Lights, the dedication of the temple, okay? That's what it's talking about. Now, we have a reversal of that here in the book of Revelation now. And it's because Satan thinks that he has taken over the temple. He's beat down the witnesses of God, and the ones down homing, the ones dwelling upon the earth, they rejoice over them, and they are glad, and gifts they send, or they shall send, to one another, because these two prophets, the word prophete, look at that word, that means it's to tell beforehand. They were prophets of God. They spoke forth the word, and it said they tormented, basanizo, they tormented the ones down homing or dwelling upon the earth. All right? 11 and verse 11. 11 and verse 11. Let's look at this one. And after the days 3, all right, and after 3 days and a half, Pneuma. All right, Pneuma. How many of you ever run pneumatic tools? Anybody? John, you ever run a pneumatic tool?
Yeah.
What is that?
Air.
Air tools. All right. And when you go and have your tires changed on your car, they use pneumatic tools on it. You got an air compressor. It compresses the pneumo. All right, pneumatic. The word ruach, all right, is the Hebrew word. It means wind or pneumatic.
Or
And
or even pneumonia.
Huh? Pneumonia. Yeah.
Pneumonia.
Yeah, pneumonia.
Of life.
And the spirit. What?
Of life. You're gonna
The
say
spirit of Zoe, life. All right.
Z-O-I,
Hiya.
Zoe?
Zoe, Zoes, the spirit of life, out of the God. It entered back into them. And they stood. Word histemi, that's where it comes from, histemi. They stood on their feet. Now the word pipto, remember the word, they were fallen in battle, but now they stood back on their feet. The word Anastasia, Anastasia. That's the Greek word. Now what is the Russian word for Anastasia? Anastasia. You know that Russian princess named Anastasia, her name meant the resurrection. That's what it meant. They were resurrected. They stood back on their feet. Anastasia upon the podos, the feet of them. And phobos. You have phobias, all kinds of phobias. Here's where it comes from, phobos. And the fear, mega. Look at that word, phobos, mega. Great fear. It fell. Now look at the play on words that John uses here. Now these witnesses were knocked down in battle. They fell down in battle. All right. Now great fear fell upon them. Pipto is the same word. Fear fell upon them. Turned it around. All right. Reversed the table. Reversed the charges. All right. And great fear fell upon them, the ones beholding them. All right. The word. Look at the word therontos. Our word theater comes from that word. What do you do at a theater? Huh? You watch something. All right? It comes from the word therontos right here. Therio. Therontos. Therio. Now, the whole world is going to see these people killed. Did you know that? The whole world is going to see them televised. This is going to be a televised event. The whole world will see them. Now, in 1611, this couldn't have happened, could it? In 800 BC, this couldn't have happened. In 1080, it couldn't have happened. In 1900, it couldn't have happened. And I remember in the 1950s when televisions came out, there was a ham operator by the name of Farnsworth. He started electrifying houses, and he invented a television. A television. That's where you could televise vision. Okay? Now, when this takes place, there will be television. Now we've got all kinds of television. I mean, I don't even understand all this stuff, this digital, you know. We lost a bunch of television channels when they came out with this digital television. But the world is going to be able to watch these witnesses killed and watch them lay in the street. They're going to televise this. This is going to be worldwide too. Okay? The whole world is going to see it. And the whole world is going to see them stand up again, Anastasia. Okay? Now back in Palestine, back over there in a little old place called Bethany. Who lived in Bethany, by the way? Who was the guys and the girls that Jesus grew up with and knew?
Lazarus.
All right. And Lazarus died. And they came there, and he had been in the tomb for 3 days. By the way, 3 days. He had been dead for 3 days. Exactly 3.5 days, as a matter of fact. And how long was Jonah dead in the whale's or the great fish's belly? He said he cried out from Sheol. Sheol is where? Huh? That's the place of departed spirits. That's not the belly of the fish. Sheol is, he was dead.
The netherworld.
The netherworld. All right? Hades. He cried out from the netherworld, the other side, and prayed unto God. And God put him.
He was in paradise, though, right?
Yeah, he was. In paradise. Sheol. Sheol is the whole common name, which was paradise and Hades, both. Okay? At that period of time. But he cried out from there. His spirit did. And God, he said, get me out of here. He knew he wasn't doing the right thing. How do you know if you're doing the right thing today? Huh? I can guarantee you're in the right place right now. Kathy you enjoy being and learning God's Word, you know you're in the right place. God's Spirit tells you that. Brother Mike, you know that?
Yeah.
Yep, God's Spirit comforts your spirit, tells you you're doing the right thing. That's it. We know we're doing the right thing today. Noah knew not Noah, but Jonah knew he was doing the wrong thing. And he wanted the chance to go back and do the right thing. Now, this is one episode in the Bible where man is resurrected and sent back. Now, he was dead for 3.5 days, basically. Jesus said, the only sign I'm going to give you is the sign of Jonah. Jonah was dead. Jesus died on the cross of Calvary. And he was in the grave for 3.5 days, basically. All right? 3.5 days. All right, that little thing's talking to me. Now they're dead for 3.5 days, which typifies Lazarus, Jonah, and Jesus. We have 3 witnesses. But what's going to happen to them? They're going to stand back on their feet again. And they stood upon the feet of them, and fear great fell upon the ones beholding them from all over the world. It's televised, yes.
Quick question, was that little boy that Elijah prayed for, was he actually dead also?
Evidently he was. There were many people raised from the dead. Yeah, there were many people raised from the dead in the Old and the New Testament by prophets of God. Well, Jesus in the New Testament. Paul raised one from the dead. It was he fell out the window and died, didn't he? When he was preaching, he preached a little bit long. Okay, sometimes I feel like that. 11 and verse 12. 11 and verse 12. And it says they heard a voice great, a phones megales, great, out of the heaven, saying to them. Somebody spoke out of heaven. Okay? Someone spoke out of heaven. Have we ever heard voices from heaven recorded in the Bible before? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. This has happened before. And they heard voice great out of the heavens, saying to them, come up here. And they went up into the heaven.
How do you say heaven?
In the heaven, singular.
How do you say
What
that?
heaven's it talking about?
The third heaven.
The third heaven. All right, the third heaven. Into the heaven. What's the word for heaven in Hebrew? You remember it's uranon here, or uranos. Uranos.
Yeah, Hashemayim.
Hashemayim.
What is it in
All
Greek?
What?
What is it in Greek?
Urano.
Urano.
Uranos. And Hashemayim or Shemayim, literally. Ha is the definite article in front of the heavens. Shemayim is heavens. Okay? And the heaven and Nephtali. Nephtali. That's cloud. Okay? The cloud. And they beheld. All right? They beheld. Again, like on theater, our word theater comes from that. You have a home theater at home, don't you? That's your television with your speakers and stuff. That's what we call a home theater. They beheld them, the enemies of them, and in that the hour it occurred, earthquake great. A seismos. What do we call the machine that records the earthquakes? Seismograph. All right. Comes right out of Greek. See there, you knew more Greek than what you thought you did. Megos. And of course, something big is mega, isn't it? Mega size your fries or whatever. Make them big. All right. Earthquake great. And deconta. All right. Deconta. The 10th of the polios of the city. Our word police comes from that.
Julios
No, polios. Polios.
is city.
Polios. Our word politics and police comes from that word right there. Politics and police. All right? What do policemen do? They take care and make sure there's order in the city, don't they? We need a lot of that. We need more policemen, don't we? And it fell, all right? In the city it fell, and they were killed in the seismo, in the earthquake, names of men. All right? Names of men. Men. people that really live. These are people, these are renowned people, famous people, whatever. These are known people, okay? That's what it names to them.
What is names in Greek?
Well, we get our word nomos from it, law.
Nomos is
Yeah,
in Greek?
nomos, okay? No, it's onomate, but it comes from nomos. Your name is applied to you by law. That is your legal name, okay? That's where nomos, or onomate. Kiliades, thousands, yeah.
Now, when you have a note down here about how they, when Jesus was resurrected, after that earthquake, that some of the,
Okay.
they were resurrected. I was wondering, were they resurrected temporarily or permanently?
That's my opinion is they were permanently resurrected. A lot of people think they died again, but I don't think so. I think that was a first fruits of the resurrection.
So then where did they go with their resurrection?
Well, they went to the Lord. The Lord took them with him. All right, but they walked around as witnesses again
Okay.
of his resurrection. Okay, and the Christ was raised from the dead, and a great earthquake took place in Jerusalem, and many of the graves were opened up, and saints were resurrected on that day. Matthew 27:51 through 53, and all the other synoptics also talk about it also. And then it says Kiliades. What is a kilo? 1,000. Kiliades. 1,000 heptah. 7,000. 7,000 are kilos. You know what? 2,000 years ago, basically, 1,900 years ago, John recorded how many people were going to be killed in the city of Jerusalem. This is the city of Jerusalem where this earthquake takes place, okay? There's going to be 7,000 people killed. And the ones remaining terrified. Phobos. This is what we get the word phobia from. They're terrified. They became, and they gave glory to the God of the heavens. Now, how did they give glory? They were afraid. They knew where it came from. They knew where this came from. They knew what was happening here. This is judgment. Okay? 11 and verse 14. John 9:24. Let's go back there. John 9:24. 9:24. Have you got that new Bible broke in, Kathy? All right. Are you over there? Yonder? Okay.
So the second time they called the man who had been blind and said to him, "Give glory to God. We know that this man is a sinner."
All right. Give glory to God. We know that they're accusing Jesus of being a sinner. And they took this blind man and they put him on trial. They kicked him out of the synagogue. They threatened his parents and everything else. All right? They said, give glory to God. Well, when people repent, they give glory to God, don't they? Evidently, some of these people repented here at this period of time. Okay? Some of them repented. Now, 11 and verse 14. Now, the second woe is past. And the woe, uah, the deutera, the second, it is passed away. It has gone by. And you behold, the woe, the third, is coming suddenly. Now, go back in your... Now, I did make some of these for you somewhere. See your little map? How many of you got a little map like this? Huh? I made some of these, all right. Look back over here where the woes are, okay? Look at the woes and the tribulation seals, and look at the woes there. See those woes? Tribulation, judgment, trumpet, and the three woes. All right? See the three woes down there? And then bowls and vials. See how they overlay there? This is toward the last part of the tribulation period, okay? Behold, the woe of the third is coming. Taxi. Taxi. Why? Look what that word looks like, taxi. Ever seen that word before? There it is. Taxi. That's how you say it in English, taxi. What do you do when you need a ride? Call a taxi, because you can get there quick. Suddenly. That word taxi comes from to get there quick. Taxi. In the old days, they had taxis. They called them stagecoaches. Taxi. And they have, in Europe, they had taxis for a long time. They were horses and big wagons. All right? That was a taxi. And now we got these yellow cabs and checkered cabs and every other kind of cab. Green ones, white ones, blue ones, black ones, whatever, okay? But they're taxis. And the word taxi means to suddenly, all right? It's an adverb there.
Can I have-
Yes.
So then, I just want to clarify, the woes happen during the trumpets only then?
Yes,
Okay.
during the trumpets and the woes, that's all taking place. Now, all of these things are happening at once. As you see, they're all folding. Here is culminating toward the end of the tribulation period. The witnesses have been killed. They've been dead for 3.5 days. All this is happening. The Antichrist is on the throne. All this is going place. Thousands of people are being killed all over in civil war all over the world. We got the armies over there in the Middle East. We got the Chinese army. We got the Africans. We got the Muslims. We got everybody is over there against Jerusalem also. Okay? And then the seventh trumpet. All right, here we have the seventh trumpet. Look over there, see where the seventh trumpet is there? Brother Mike.
Oh, no.
Anybody else? Okay. We'll read this one. I think we'll finish right here tonight in this 15th verse. Okay? And the seventh angel. All right, the seventh angel. Now, there's a lot of different trumpets, aren't there? What is the last trumpet in the church age?
Rapture?
The rapture. That takes place right here. That's the last trumpet in the church age. We live in this age. The last trumpet there. And then we have a last trumpet and the seventh trumpet over here, Brother Rex.
Why have I always heard when Gabriel blows the last trumpet?
When Gabriel blows his horn.
Yeah.
Because he is a herald. Gabriel does herald. Gabriel has told several things. Who appeared to John the Baptist's mother and father? Is Gabriel, wasn't it?
Wait, I've heard, can you find that in the Bible?
No, that's just conjecture.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a herald. Gabriel is a herald, he's a messenger. Okay, Gabriel is a messenger. Okay? And the seventh, the Heb Domos, the seventh angelos, we get our word angel right out of Greek. Angelos. He sounded, espal pize, all right? He sounded his trumpet, and there became voices great in the heaven, urano. Hebrew Hashemayim, or Shemayim, saying, nominative, plural, masculine, present, participle, active. They continue to say it over and over and over. You hear these voices just rolling in heaven. Like how many of you ever heard the French Alps or the Swiss Alps, all that? They get up there and they blow these horns, and they echo all over there, and just they echo in the canyons up there. It's a high canyon. How many of you have been up on Greenhorn Mountain, hollered down in some of them canyons? You can just hear your voice echo all over that canyon up there.
How do you say saying? Denotes or something?
What?
Denotes? I'm guessing. I have no idea.
What? Say what?
Denotes? How do you say saying in Greek?
Oh, say legontes. Legontes. It comes from lego, which means I speak.
Oh.
All right? The word
One
election
thing
comes
next
out of
to
that,
another.
means to pick out. Okay? Legontes. And then became ageneto. This is the same word as hathya in Hebrew. All right? And that's the word where it says ageneto in John 1:14, and it says kai hologo sarx ageneto. And the word, the Jehovah, flesh he became. All right? And it says there are great commotion, great sounds, great voices, trumpet sounds became in the kingdom, the basileia. Look at that word basileia. The word basilica is what they use for many palaces. Basilica. Okay? Comes right out of Greek, basileia. Of the world. The kingdom of the world. And of the Lord of us. Who is the Lord? The Kyrios. This is Adonai. This is Jehovah. Okay?
What's the world?
Cosmo.
Oh.
Cosmos. The word cosmetics comes from that when a woman puts her face in order. That's order. All right? Cosmos. Order. Cosmos. God created the heavens and the world. If he created the heavens and the world, it was in order. Okay? The Lord of us, the Jehovah, the Adonai of us, and even the, that word kai there can also mean even. Even the Messiah. This is the Messiah. The Lord, even the Messiah. Now, he's our Jehovah. He's our Elohim. He's our creator. Colossians, the first chapter, he's the one who created us. John, the first chapter. Nothing was created in this world outside of what Jesus Christ created. Okay? It's the Messiah, the Christ of him, and he shall reign, Basilusen, he shall reign unto the ages of the ages. Aeona, Aeonas ton Aeono, the ages of the ages, forever.
That's the hallelujah chorus.
That's the hallelujah chorus, the real hallelujah chorus. This is it. Well, I hope you enjoyed your lesson tonight. We covered a lot of ground. We'll start at 11:16 next week. Do you have any questions?
How do you say the word Christ in Greek?
Christos.
That's the XPIO something.
Yeah, Christos.
Christos?
Uh-huh. That's a key. Christos. Christos. How do you say it in Spanish? Jesus Christos. All right, Jesus. How do you say it in Spanish? Jesus.
Jesus Cristo.
Jesus Christo. Okay, Jesus Christo. All right, the Spanish comes right out of Latin, and the Latin comes right out of the Greek. All right, that's what it is.
So whenever they find something new in America, they'll go look up the Greek meaning of it and make a new word, right?
Sometimes. Much of our language comes out of Greek, as you're beginning to understand, Cheryl.
I was just wondering in verse 12, when they heard the loud voice, was it just the three men that heard it, the three angels or witnesses? Or did
And they heard, plural.
Everybody
Okay.
heard it?
Everybody heard a great voice out of the heavens saying to them, come up here. They all heard that, but also these people heard, the two witnesses heard it saying, come up here. They were resurrected at that time.
Uh-huh.
But the world heard, and they saw, and they heard what happened also. So we had kind of a dual understanding. Thank you for bringing that out.
So no wonder they praised the Lord.
Oh yeah, they're praising the Lord because here we have the resurrection of these witnesses here now.
Uh-huh.
All right, do you have any other questions?
I was just curious, I see where the first woe is and the second woe, and I was just curious where the third woe.
We're going to get to it.
Okay. I just didn't see it here.
Yeah,
so-
we're going to get to it. Yeah, we're going to get to the third woe. That's the last woe, too. But yeah.
So if these were angels, then they didn't really die, right?
Yeah. If they were angels. Now that's just conjecture. They could be people. They could be the angels. They could be Zerubbabel. They could be Zechariah. They could be Daniel. They could be John. They could be all. There's actually an explanation for them having all of them. The only problem I had was Enoch and Elijah. I don't believe it's them, but many people think it's Enoch and Elijah. But Enoch and Elijah were a type of the rapture. Now, if he sent them back to die, it would be not. They couldn't be the type of the rapture, could they? All right, because you're not going to get raptured and they get killed later. All right. Could be. All right. Anything else? The cherubim and the seraphim. The cherubim, the cherubs. All right. These are the winged. In one of the ancient cultures, there was a flying bull, a great flying bull. He was called a cherub. And the seraphim that we talked about, we talked about the angels flying from heaven and everything. The idea of the cherubim or the cherubs is they fly. The seraphim fly. Now the seraphim, there was an Assyrian god that they worshipped. There was a flying, fiery, red snake or serpent. All right? And he had a name. I can't think of his name right now. But that's where the word seraphim came from, is this flying snake. And the seraphim is burning one, is what seraphim means. It means burning one. So we have cherubs and cherubim, seraphim, we've got angels, we've got spirits, we've got all of this in the book of Revelation, don't we? All right. Do you have any questions? Are you enjoying the class?
Yeah.
All right.
Isaiah's the one that saw the seraphim, right? The burning ones.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
There's several places that are talked about in the Bible, and the cherubs and the cherubim. I shouldn't say cherubs, it's cherub, singular. Cherubim is plural in Hebrew. And Hebrews 9 and 5, I think, is where we studied this last Wednesday night. We talked about the cherubim. being plural, and that's the ones with wings, okay? And the cherub.
What were those beings around God's throne with the like four faces or the different
Yeah.
faces? What were they?
Cherubim.
different-
Also,
is that what they were?
Yeah, seraphim, cherubim. There's referred to.
I thought there was three different
Like-
kinds listed in the Bible, and I can't remember that third kind of a
There's cherubs.
supreme being.
Cherubim. There is the seraphim. There's angels. All right, and there's spirits. All of these we find
Spirit's
in
the
the book
only
of
one without
Revelation.
body, right?
What?
Spirit's the only one without body, right?
Spirits don't appear as far, they have to take the form, they have to inhabit human or animal flesh, okay? Spirits do. Angels have form. A cherub has form. Seraphim has form. It's like a flying, something flying, fiery, something fiery. The word fiery, like even the Shekinah glory of God, it's fiery, isn't it? Fiery. At nighttime it's fire, and daytime it's a cloud, a pillar of cloud, okay? Anything else? I don't want to cut you off here, give you time. Don't want to wear you out either.
I don't really know what I'm talking about, but when you was talking a while ago about that's when he made the oil over there, how does that relate to?
The oil in the ground, and of course the world is run by greed, isn't it? Grabbing and greed. And everybody wants that oil over there. Everybody wants that oil. They want it, because it means money and it means power.
You said the devil put the oil in that,
The Lord allowed the devil to tear up the world, and what a
And bury all
byproduct
that.
of that destruction was the compression of all of those animal bodies
Living matter.
and vegetation, and it became oil, okay? And so God allowed that to happen. His permissive will allowed that to happen, so in this period of time, that's what they're using. There wasn't any need for that oil at that time. I mean, besides building the Tower of Babel and everything, later on, they used the tar for mortar,
And this was the dinosaurs.
the dinosaurs and everything. We know that they exist. I don't have any problem with dinosaurs.
Vegetation.
How old is the creation? We don't even have any idea. We don't have any idea how old it is. Billions of years old, thousands of years. We don't know how old it is. But in one of the beginnings, God created and finished the heavens and the earth. All right, and then she became formless and void.
This
Yeah.
this is the second earth, right? And there'll be
Yeah.
a third earth when
Yeah.
God creates it again.
The numbers in Scripture mean a lot. We had the first earth that was created way back yonder, okay? And then we have the second earth that we live on, the one that was reconstructed, and then we're going to have a third earth, all right? And there was one time the earth existed in and out of water. Remember that? When I teach the book of Genesis, we're going to study all that stuff. One time there was Pangea, or God water. Pangea, what's that mean? Pangea.
Many
One continent.
or all?
Pan comes from all. That's a Greek word. Gea means all earth. At one time there was earth on one side, Pangea, and water. Water and earth. And then it says in the days of Peleg, God divided the earth. People talk about the continental drift. That's really true, except it drifted real fast.
Is that the Tower of Babel time when
Yes,
you
that was
tore the
Tower of
world
Babel
apart
time.
to split people
Yeah,
up?
right over here. This is when God divided the earth right here, and that's when He confused the languages. All right. Scientists they discovered a lot of this stuff. The only thing about it is they ought to read their Bible first, and they could save a lot of time.
In your
With the
classes,
church.
you get to travel around a little bit in the Bible, don't you?
Do what?
In your classes, in one class, you get to travel around a little bit in the Bible.
Yeah.
Eternity, past, future.
Yeah. We've studied a lot. Even this tonight, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From the culture to everything. And in the end time, we're studying the burial ground of humanity now. The burial ground. You know, the Mesopotamia means the land between the rivers. That was what we call the Fertile Crescent. That is the birthplace of humanity. That's also going to be the burial place. right over there. My lineage that we had, that we studied the DNA of Dakota, it goes right back to the Fertile Crescent. That's where it goes. And I know who my daddy was back then. His name was Noah. We know that. We know where it goes back. I did that. I wasn't surprised by any of that at all. I can see where it went, where they traveled on the earth, when the earth was divided. I'm related to them Aborigines down there in Australia. Where'd they come from? Ham's descendants. We know that. Simple as you just study your Bible, that's all. No problem. Anything else before I turn you loose on the world? Go out and do something eternal. Anything else? All right. Brother David, would you dismiss us in prayer, brother?
Precious Heavenly Father, thank you for this message we've received tonight, what we've learned, and help us to be able to develop and digest it and understand it, dear Lord, that we may be better able to understand your word. With us this week as we go out into the world and be with us, as we ask in Jesus' name.